anyhow, some of you are like, man, what do you do for a living? And for those of you that don't know, uh, in addition to running this podcast and where most people know me, which is from Daisy Fest, the music festival, and might I add, North America's largest South Asian music festival. Hint, hint. And now the longest, biggest digital South Asian music festival. We hit 150 shows and we're on track to do another 150 shows. That's over 300 artists from across Canada, US, India, Pakistan, Australia that we would have showcased. There's a lot of music content. There's a lot of amazing, amazing talent. There's a lot of stories. So that's what I do on the music side. And on the professional side or the career side, I do a bunch of things. I invest in companies. I invest in people with great ideas. I've got a couple of my own ideas that I'm working on. And without really planning, I launched now a executive coaching company. And we work with first-time founders who are starting a business and are not sure of the rules. Whether it's a career change, you lost your job and you're moving into entrepreneurship, or if it's something you've always wanted, so you're ready to leave the 9 to 5 and start your own company, or you're an entrepreneur that's already building a company but hit some roadblocks and not sure what to do next. People that are already in the mindset of building something special but just don't know. Some of the little things that only life will teach you, experience will teach you, and that's where I come in. So that's what Bala Group is. You know, we invest and support and mentor and coach first-time founders. And one of the topics that always comes up is this idea of how do I create a business plan? That's what they teach you in school. You go to business school, they teach you how to write a business plan. And for me, business plans are only half of the solution. You know, when you're starting any business, you need an idea for what the business is going to do. But when I work with startups or founders, we look at what is your success plan. And the difference between a business plan and a success plan is a success plan puts into the formula you, the founder. What is the plan for you to grow? Because business and you are going to be tied to the hip for however long this thing is going to be running. And I can tell you and demonstrate through my own life that the greatest milestones in your business are only going to happen when you grow into that position. So what do I mean by that? So let's dissect a simple business plan. You found a problem and you found a solution, and you kept testing the solution until the solution and the problem and the market fit happens. And as soon as that happens, you're like, okay, now a bunch of people want to buy my solution. I'm going to go and build a company around selling it. I'm going to hire more people, make more money, spend more money, etc. That seems to be like the simplest version of the business. And then when I come in, I said, okay, the business plan is only as good as a success plan for the human. So what is your plan? How are you going to grow? How are you going to become a bigger leader, a better leader? How are you going to develop strategies that make you comfortable to go through the fires of building a business? How are you going to strengthen your core so that when things go bad, when shit goes bad, you have the tools and the energy to get back up and fight? That's the part the school doesn't teach you. Life teaches you. But in today's society, today's world, where starting a business is not as difficult. It's not for the elite. It's not for the MBA cats. It's not for the people with the PhD and the good parents and the bank account. Anybody, any one of us can tomorrow decide to start a company, build a free website, find some products, and go to market. And in a global market, you will make some money, right? So where I really get excited about is to build anything of value and sustainable long term. You need to build the business, but you need to figure out what your growth is. So that's what we call the success plan. And for me, the success plan looks at three things, and we overlap it with the business trajectory. So if you're running a business and you've got your product market fit, whatever it is, there's three things you're worried about. one, how do I build a really cool culture where people want to get up in the morning and come to work for me? Number two, how do I continue to make money? Good money, not sporadic, once in a while, up and down, kind of a weird money cycle. But how do I build consistent money that's constantly going up? And it gives me some sense of growth and pride. And consistent growth means customers are happy, they're referring friends, people are talking about you, and you don't have to go keep earning money the way you do in the beginning, and it's up and down. So how do you build consistent revenue into a business? And then number three is, how do you think about long-term growth? What does that look like? You know, and for me, when you get long-term growth, that means clients want to stick around with you, which means the problem you're solving is relevant enough and the way you're solving it is good enough, but they want to continuously work with you. You know, in Blue Band, we had clients that have been with us for over a decade. And in a decade, a lot of things change, man. A lot of things change. Shit, when I started, the internet was just a baby. Can you imagine? Like, websites didn't really matter. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. There was no real LinkedIn. And a decade later, we're still relevant, solving problems. So how do you do that? You know, how do you keep long-term clients? So those are the three things you look at when you're building a business. And similarly, when you map out a success plan, you look at, how am I, the individual, growing with the company? What are my gaps? What are my skill sets? What are the things that I'm not good at that I need to start planning, just like I would a marketing campaign, a brand campaign, a social media strategy to build my company? How am I doing a brand campaign and a social media strategy for myself? And the two are connected. It's like, you know, wanting to be a bodybuilder, but only working on your biceps and chest and ignoring your legs. You know it's not going to work. You can't lift the weights. You got to work on your legs. It's like wanting to learn how to drive, but never wanting to go on the highway. You can't. You got to get on the highway. You got to figure out how to deal with fast-moving stuff, fast-moving cars. You know, and so for me, when I work with founders, that's what we try to break down. What's your business plan? What's your human plan? And combined, we create a success plan. And where the things intersect very nicely, if we go back to what I said earlier, to build a great culture where people get up in the morning, get excited, and want to come to work. And if we think about that for a second, and it dawned on me when we were 8 years old in Blue Band, and we had almost 60 people working for me, 20 to 30 people in the Toronto office, a bunch of people in India, a bunch of people in Costa Rica, China. And I remember one morning waking up going, man, I'm getting ready to go to work. And so are 65 other people. And they want to be there before 9, and they want to get to work, and they want to help build a dream. And it was such an incredibly humbling moment to think, man, these many people are waking up right now wanting to come to work with me and with each other. And for anybody to build a great culture, you need to think about your own leadership skills. How can I become a better leader? Because cultures follow leadership. They don't follow business ideas. They don't follow customers. They don't follow revenue. They don't follow, beer pong days. They follow a leader with a vision. And a leader with a vision who's got clarity, who's able to share why they're doing what they're doing, what their roadmap looks like. How are they going to build a company? How are they going to defend this culture that they're building? How are they going to make sure everybody eats? And to do that, you need to focus on building your own leadership skills. And how do you do that? So we work on that. To make money, to consistently make revenue, you need to become a really good listener. Learning how to listen, really listen, in this really noisy world is one of the hardest skills to get. We're so good at skimming the top, the feed on social media with your thumb just scraping by on Facebook, on Pinterest. We've become a culture of scrolling thumbs. And when you're scrolling, you're not listening, you're not watching, you're not paying attention. You're absorbing very quickly and moving on. But to be a true leader, you have to learn the art of listening. And some of my greatest successes in life, working with clients for over a decade, comes from listening to them, really asking thoughtful questions and understanding their pain points and listening to what they're saying, listening to what they're doing. And sometimes you can listen by watching. When you are present in a meeting, you're not distracted by a cell phone, or you're not waiting for the other person to stop talking so that you can talk. How many of us know people that are not really listening to you? They're just waiting for their turn to talk again. And in between your talking, they're just impatiently waiting so they can talk again. So learning to listen and really understand what the other person wants is one of the best ways, and it's the most cheapest, most cost-effective way to stay in business much longer. And number 3, when you're looking at long-term clients, people that want to stick with you for 8, 9, 10 years. I've got friends in Daisy Fest who are artists or musicians or industry people that I can call 10 years later, 15 years later, and they'll pick up my phone call. I might not have spoken to them. I might not have spoken to them for 5, 6 years at a time. But when I make that phone call, they'll pick up. Similarly, when they call me, I pick up. Building those long relationships means you need to build the art of empathy. And for those of you that don't know what empathy means, and a lot of young people I speak to, or people that are making career shifts, where they've been taken care of by a boss for so long and the world has changed and they either lost their job or they now finally are fed up and the pandemic has pushed them over the top and they want to finally go start their dream company. The idea of empathy to others is brand new to them. And for me, my greatest gift to everybody I meet is my ability to really care about you. I don't care how much money you have in your bank account. I don't care what your title is. I don't care what your last, historical successes were. While they're important to you, what's important to me is if you reach out and we connect and we engage, that you get all of me for as long as we are together. Whether it's a 5-minute phone call, whether it's a 1-hour coaching session, whether it's 12 hours on stage at Daisy Fest, I'm completely in the zone to service you. And if I'm not capable of doing that, I'm not taking the meeting. I'm not taking the gig. I'm not doing it. And for me, empathy is the true appreciation of another person. I've never missed a staff meeting in 10 years. I've never missed a client meeting in over 2 years or 2 decades. Because I care. Because they allow me to live a lifestyle that I want to live. And in return, I want to make sure they get my attention anytime we get together. And they don't teach empathy in school. They reward you for consistency. They reward you for excellence in academic grade. They reward you for your ability to memorize a textbook and spit it back out on a test or quiz. But they don't teach empathy. And most people don't realize empathy is a big part of building a business. So those are the 3 things that I dissect when I'm working with founders. You want to make more money? Start listening. You want customers to stick around for a really long time? Develop empathy. You want to build an incredible culture where people get up in the morning and they want to come to work for you? And they're not looking around for the first chance to get out? Work on your leadership skills. And in all those 3 things, you have to now be really honest with yourself on what are the things that I'm not good at. Leadership is like working out every day. It's a daily, constant effort. Very few of us are born with that Martin Luther King charisma and leadership style. But even Martin Luther King had to hold it, tap into it, learn how to pull it out and take it into the world. I certainly didn't know if I was capable of leading a team. And what would that look like? I was gifted with so much insecurity so early in my life. Having the imposter syndrome is something that follows me every single day. So for me, learning to lead a company needed constant daily work. Uh, my third company called Blue Band Digital. A lot of people don't know what the name stands for. Uh, in high school, I was playing basketball, and we had a shitty season, man. Like, we weren't doing well. You know, it's a brand new team. The senior teams all graduated. The young cats are moving up. I'm in the starting lineup. One of the first brown guys that are on a basketball team, starting lineup. And we weren't doing well. Everybody had egos. Everybody was just wanting to be their own. And I remember the coach walked into the locker room one day, and he had a box of rubber bands. Real simple rubber bands. You know, these are rubber bands that he picked up at Staples or Walmart or Zellers back in the days, whatever it is. And what was unique about the rubber bands were they were blue in color. I've never seen a blue rubber band. We've all seen those ugly, like pale brownish kind of looking color, but I've never seen a blue rubber band. And I remember he took one out and he gave it to everybody on the team. He said, I want you guys to wear it. I want you guys to wear it for the rest of the season. And every time you see each other in the hallway, stop for a minute, say hi to each other, high five, handshake, do whatever you got to do. But I want you to recognize each other every time you see each other around the school. And don't take the rubber band off for the rest of the season. And know that you got this because we want you to be part of this culture. And that we want you to show up. And we want you to give your best. And we want you to try your hardest. And regardless of whether we win the game or we lose the game or we don't win the championship or win the championship, know that for the next 15 games, we're going to think and act and behave as one unit. And that's all I ask from you guys. And I remember wearing that rubber band. We're talking like grade 9, grade 10, right? You're young. You don't really get life lessons yet till much later. And it changed the dynamic, man. Like, we would see each other and we would hang out and we would say hi to each other. On the basketball court, it was like our secret weapon. No other team had a blue rubber band on. We did. So it felt like we were invincible. The team got a little bit better. We started to win a little bit more. The season was still shit. We lost and it was no Cinderella. But that moment really stuck with me of how the coach, high school coach, demonstrated such leadership and empathy and listening skills that he was able to take a bunch of angry, stubborn, multicultural bunch of kids, and with a simple 10-cent rubber band, connect all of us. And that was the culture I wanted to build when I started my company. And so I called it Blue Band Digital. And the blue band signified our culture. Just get up in the morning, fight for each other, have a ton of empathy for the people that want to work with us, care about becoming leaders in our own roles, and then really listen to each other. And every single morning when you showed up at Blue Band in this giant virtual rubber band that we put around the company, our core values and our purpose and your role in it was very clearly defined. And we went to work. And for 12 years, I went from not really knowing how to build a company to building one of the top 5 digital agencies in the country, working with some of the best clients and brands in the world. And I've never worked for an agency before. I don't have a business degree. I didn't start a business, something like this before. But what I understood is what it took to build a great culture and how to care and how to be empathetic and how to listen. And funny enough, those skill sets really allow you to build a great business. And sometimes, even when your product is shit and the customers don't like you and you haven't figured out what to sell, those 3 things become the lifeboat that you hold on to until things figure themselves out. And so that's what I do. I hope this gives you guys a bit of a window into the kind of work I do with coaches and founders. But more importantly, this idea of connecting your business and you is really important. And then some of you, if you're not starting a business, the rules still apply. You got into working for somebody else, entry level, mid-senior level, whatever it is, the same three things that I just walked you through of working on yourself from a leadership perspective, learning how to really listen and building empathy allows you to build your career, even if it's in somebody else's home. If you're a musician, same idea. If you're an artist, same idea. Focusing on leadership skills, investing time and money into skills that you're not good at, that allow you to become a better leader. Really important. So if you're thinking about building a business, I hope you listen to this. If you know somebody who's building a business and struggling or not sure how to put the pieces together, I'd love for you to share this with them. And if you're interested in getting some support, help, conversation, feel free to reach out. That's what these morning sessions are about, and this is what I want to do.